Hello there. In this topic, what are the different kinds of joins in general? And we're also going to take a look at what kind of joins we have in HANA. Let's say that these are two tables, and this is the left table and this is the right table. So we have three columns in each table. We have column ID, and then we have column 1 and 2, and then we have column ID, and then we have column 3 and column 4. Now let's say that we want to join these two tables. So what do we mean by join these two tables? When we say join, we want to combine the result set of these two tables. So when we actually join the table, we're expecting something like this to happen. So we're expecting that the column 3 and 4 are joined with column 1 and 2. So this will look something like this: 1, 2, and 3 and 4, and then we'll have all the values. Now in this we need to give a join condition on which the tables are joined. So in this case we have L.id, which is left table.id column, to the right table.id column. So we have 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4. So basically what an inner join is going to compare if there is a match between the left table and the right table, and if only if there is a match, that particular record will be brought to the result set. So in this case, since we have all of them matching, so we have all of the records displayed here. For example, if we did not have 4, for example, then 4 will not be displayed here. So if you do not have 4 in any of the tables, 4 will not be displayed in the result set. Alright, so that's inner join. Let's take a look at what is left outer join. So let's say we have the same two tables a little bit extended. So the left table now has an extra column called 5 with the ID 5, and then column 1 has 0 and then column 2 has P. The second table, the right table, remains the same. Now let's say that this is the left table and we want a left outer join. So this is another type of a join called left outer join. Here what we want to do is we want to keep all the transactions even though if we don't have a match in the dimension table. In other words, what we are saying is, hey, give me all the values of the left table even if you don't find the corresponding matches in the right table. So if we do a left outer join to these two tables, then the result set is going to be like this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the two columns from the left table. We also have the right table, but we have null values. We don't have any values in the third and fourth column for the ID 5 because we don't have a match. So that's called a left outer join. Now if you just reverse this, that will become your right outer join. If this table was here and if this table was here, it will become a right outer join. So we're just changing the position of the table, and then accordingly you have to choose a specific join. Okay, so let's take a look at some more joins. So there are some HANA specific joins called referential join, text join, and also another join called temporal join. Okay, so what is a referential join? Referential join is something which makes sure that you are maintaining the referential integrity. Now let's say you have two tables, left and right, with three columns all of them. Internally, referential join is a inner join in the case when you select the columns from both the tables. So if you happen to select columns in these two tables, that is, for example, let's say you want column A and column D, then you have chosen columns from both the tables. In that case, your result set will be an inner join. So if you see here, only 1 and 2 are matching, so you only get those two values. This is an inner join. Now if I only chose column A and B and I'm not choosing column C and D from the right table, then this will behave like a left outer join. So you will get all the values from the left table. A referential join is internally an inner join and also an left outer join. The next join is called a text join. Text join is basically we want to give the description mapping for the columns with different languages. Now, what happens is, let's say we have a table with product ID and product name. So let's say we have 1, 2, and P1 and P2. And then we have a table where you have description mapping from different countries. For example, this table has PID, description, and then language. So what you may call, for example, you call something else in English, and you call the same thing something else in French. So that description is given here in English and in French, and in English and in French, and this has a lot of entries. If you take an actual SAP table, there are a lot of languages. So basically, what we want to do is we want to make this join from this table to this table of description mapping for a specific language, and pass a key of for which language you want to do the description mapping. So the language is default and it picks up from the studio. So for example, when you set up the studio and you give the language as English, so that will pick up English from there, and only the translations of English will be mapped to the product table. This might be a little bit confusing. When we go to the actual implementation, it will be a little bit more simpler. Let's take a look at temporal join. This is very interesting. So let's say we have two tables. One is the transaction ID and purchase date, and then we have the amount. And then we have another table called the contract ID and then from and to dates. So what we want to do is we want to restrict, or we want to check, for example, okay, so if your purchase date is this one, is your purchase date within your contract dates? That's what basically we want to check. So how do we implement it? So first of all, you need to choose a temporal column. Now this temporal column has to come from your fact table. All right, so this is a fact table for us, and in this fact table you have to choose your temporal column, and that's going to be the purchase date. All right, then you need to select the from and to columns from your attribute view. So this is your attribute view, and then your F date and T date are your from and to columns. And then you need to include the condition. So for example, let's say that you join the temporal column and you give the from and to columns. So it's going to check when it makes a join, it's going to check, okay, so the purchase date February 1st of 2015, is it inside of February 1st and February 31st? Now to check like that, that is from and to date, there is a condition called include both. Now let's say that you only want to make sure that it's not crossing the to date, then you can exclude one and then include the other one. So you can mix and match how you want to do, and you can restrict your columns based on a certain temporal condition